powerful message I want to share around this is that, well, first of all, here's some statistics I want to give you. We have 60,000 thoughts on average every day. 80% of our thoughts are negative, and 90% of the thoughts we have today are the exact same thoughts that we had yesterday. So if you want to make changes in your life, but you're thinking the same things, the same thoughts will lead to the same choices, which lead to the same behaviors, which lead to the same experiences. And so that's why it's so hard for us to change, because we're living in the matrix, thinking in thought loops every single day. So you talked about self-reflection and self-awareness. That's the first step, is to be aware of your thinking and how it could be sabotaging your performance. Some more research I want to share before I get into this story. Negativity is 4 to 7 times more powerful than positivity. And it's 10 times more powerful to say something out loud than to keep it to yourself, which means it's 40 to 70 times more likely that bad things will happen if you say negative things out loud. So the power of the word, it's real. The science and the research backs it. So you really need to become aware of your self-talk, what you're saying to yourself, and most importantly, what you're broadcasting to the world. Now, getting back to the story I wanted to share, when I was 12 years old, I was so hard on myself. I'd mope around the tennis court. I would cry if I lost tennis matches, and my parents didn't know what to do with me. So my stepfather, Miles Cortez, a prominent lawyer in Denver, he wrote me a poem. And the poem he wrote me was called the Champions Poem. And it was all about how you win with class, you sometimes lose, but do so with class. You keep your head high, you walk proudly like a champion. And I used to read that poem every single day as a 12-year-old, and even as a 15-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 25-year-old. Every step in my journey, I had that poem in my racket bag or my backpack to pull out and to read. And when I share that in my keynotes, or like a workshop that I did last week for a Vistage group, they are so moved. They're like, we need that poem, or we need to actually write that poem for someone in our lives. One gentleman who sold his company for $1 gazillion, he was crying and he was like, we all need to write a champion's poem for someone in our life. And more importantly, we need to write a champion poem for ourselves. We need to write something to ourselves about how freaking amazing we are and all the great things we're doing. And so here I am talking to 15 leaders in a room in an intimate setting. And this man is saying everyone needs to write a champion's poem to someone else and to themselves. 2 days later, I'm speaking at a private school in Denver. I do 4 classes. It's a slightly catered message. And then at the end of the day, I speak to the baseball team because they got wind I was there. And they're like, can you come do a bonus class? I'm like, I'm all in, because this is my message, especially my why around my brother. I probably had 4 or 5 kids come up to me throughout the day that walked right up to me, Seth, and said, I really needed to hear that message today. I was struggling. I've been struggling, and I needed to hear the statistics and how if I just breathe a few minutes a day and focus on my heart, I can regulate my nervous system, and I can feel calmer, and I can feel gratitude, and I can deal with my anxiety better. Who knows, those 4 or 5 kids, they're suffering in silence. And now all of a sudden they hear this message and they're now going to shift. And so it's adults and it's kids. We all need to be living in this zone of excellence with these practical, tangible tools and strategies that work. It's no different than having a solid forehand or serve with great technique. It's building these fundamentals every single day. And that's my why. I wake up saying, if I can change a kid's life, or if I can have that corporate executive say, we are writing a champion's poem, that's the ripple effect that I want to get out to the world, because this is how we can offset all the nonsense and the junk that's out there on social media and the messaging we get on TV and the news and all that. This is the playground we need to play in.